money, and maybe I should try to follow that, try to, see where that path takes me.
Did you try to emulate the comics that you had seen on television, or did you know there was only one way to do this, and that's to be Brody Stevens?
I knew I was Steve Brody at that point. That's my real name. But that's
like a porn name.
Steve Brody?
Steve Brody. Mickey Spillane, Steve Brody as Mike Hammer.
But everybody called me Brody, so I wanted to keep that. I mean, that was the other thing, like at Arizona State or even in high school, when people would meet me for the first time, they would always go, I thought your first name was Brody. So that put that in my head about, I kind of want to keep that name, Brody, because whenever I would meet somebody, they always saw my name was Brody because everyone just called me Brody. It's,
it's very athletic, too. Like, hey, Mohr. Hey, Brody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that kind of, bled over into that. I mean, bled, I guess that's the right word to use, but kind of like, spilt over into that in terms of my name.
Hey, hit the cutoff man. Sorry.
So I took the acting class, and I knew that, you know what? Let me see about this comedy. But I couldn't go to my mom or my parents and say, I want to be an actor or I want to be a comedian. I just felt like I couldn't say that to them.
Because it was a failure in their eyes? Like they wasted money on college?
Yeah, I went to college. I put 5 years into baseball, and I wasn't going to go on to play minor league. I mean, maybe coaching, maybe something involved in baseball. But for me to say that I wanted to be an actor or I wanted to be involved in entertainment, I felt that I couldn't really say that to them. I mean, it was like, okay, that's cute and all, but you got to get a real job.
There seems to be a real, and from what I saw in the trailer for Enjoy It, what I picked up on, and what I picked up from your tweets, not the when you went bananas, and we'll get to that, but your everyday tweets and from watching your shows, there seems to be a real power structure in your family with your mom, your sister, yourself. It's almost like this Game of Thrones other level behind the scene, like Nixon in Vietnam, like we have to do this with diplomacy. I'll take my sister out to eat.
Yeah.
Like she has to be happy now. And then she's talking to Kissinger like it really wasn't that nice of a meal. I can't believe he hugged me. That's not what we do in this country.
Right.
And it seems confusing to be a child in a house like that. When you grew up, were you was it confusing?
Well, my parents are divorced.
So, okay.
That probably didn't help.
Is my perception off base?
Not so much. No. I mean, we weren't a close family in terms of hugging and going to temple and
what's that? The temple?
Synagogue.
I don't understand.
It's a Jewish thing.
Oh, Jew, sorry.
Yeah. So, we didn't do a lot of that. And my grandmother was around. My dad would be around. But
your sister and you seem unable to show one another true affection.
Yeah.
And I got the sense from watching the trailer for Enjoy It, it was sad because I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is to make a good trailer. Is there an actual inability to show each other affection? Is there an actual rock in the shoe at all times with one another?
Yes.
There is.
Yeah. But it's getting better. And I feel like doing the show with my sister actually brought us closer together.
Why was there the rock in the shoe?
We just never got along. I mean, she was 5 years older than me, and she was kind of not always nice to me. She, has her own issues, I guess. And I was like the little brat brother. And because of that, she probably didn't like it. She was supportive at times, but I think we just clashed. We just had our issues. And
you loved each other, but didn't necessarily like each other at times. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And your mom, I know how much, this is the dichotomy in the family that I picked up on, and we'll get to some funny shit soon, hopefully, and I apologize, but to me, it's fascinating, any family dynamic. You adore your mom. I mean, you care. You tweet when you're visiting her, and your cute dog Daisy. And I see the little videos you put up on Twitter of like Daisy greeting you and your mom at the door, and it makes me so happy to see photos of Daisy and like your mom's assisted living. Is that
Yeah.
you're on it, like you're caring above and beyond. Is that because your parents split? Do you feel like you're not overcome in a good way? Like, let me give my mom. Is that a payback in a way? Because you're so kind-hearted. Is it a way? It's the way everyone should behave, really. But you really seem to have
Emotional.
I don't want you to be uncomfortable.
I'm not
but
uncomfortable.
It's good. You're loved.
I've been emotional lately.
You're loved here. It seems you really seem like this wonderful son that because when I can't spit it out because it can sound so stupid. Well, everybody should take care of their parents. They don't, is my point. Everybody doesn't take care of their parents, and you seem to have made it sort of like your day job to make sure shit runs on time at the Regalia or whatever your mom is in
Segovia in Palm Desert. You know, my father passed away in '97, and I felt that I could have been a better son. You know, I just felt I was a little selfish. You know, I was 27 when he passed away, and I just feel that I could have been a better son, more caring, more. I just felt I could have been. So since that happened, I felt like I need to be. I wanted to put in more effort to be a better son to my mother.
You want to be full-time.
Yeah.
You're a full-time loving guy.
Well, I call my mom every day.
Yeah.
And I do that, but I think I wanted to be, you know, I've grown up also. I was just young. Maybe I'm a late bloomer, but I wasn't. I feel I could have been
Couldn't show affection. Turned 30, turned a corner.
Yes. Growing up.
I just wanted to see.
Evolving.
I always had an undercurrent. I vibed out an undercurrent that you were an extraordinary loving guy. And it really, I'm glad that this show on HBO, Enjoy It, is happening. And you have somebody powerful like Zach Galifianakis producing it, because you're fascinating, and the comics all think you're fascinating, and we can't all be wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not, no one wants to back a shitty horse.
Correct.
Like, no one's going, hey, Tony Clifton, I'm telling you, you got him having. No, it's just a guy with fucking prosthetics, and he kind of sucks. Whereas, like, everyone is like, you say Brody, and they just go, enjoy it.
Yeah, I've been lucky that the comedian, or whatever you want to, if it's luck or just what have you, that the comedians have backed me. They've always been, not always, but for the most part, very supportive and always liked me and always like been on my side. And they've always thought I was funny. You know, comedians generally are smarter than regular audiences do. They get it. They know the struggles. They know about what it takes and what it feels like. And
do you think you're smarter than your audiences?
Sometimes.
I always say audiences are smarter than you think, and they're dumber than you think, and you have about a minute and a half to figure out which one's in front of you.
That's how long. That's
you.
About
You either have 300 people in front of you that are just fucking apes,
right?
And you just gotta like dry hump the stool for an hour,
right?
Or you got 300 people in front of you that are like so with it, love the podcast, and you can just go way out on a tangent, and they're like, we're gonna follow you into the center of the sun.
They're with you on that.
Yeah.
That's more enjoyable, right? Of course.
Oh, of course, because that's the real you, the you that's reaching for the next rung on the ladder, the you in the dark, where something, going back to Springsteen, something just out of reach, something better. Let's all go together. That darkness on the edge of town. Let's make that journey. Let's jump off a cliff and build our wings on the way down together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about your stand-up is there. Do you have? It seems like you have no. I don't want to say you have no act because I know you have an act, and it sounds cunty to say that, but you don't have like a bit that is, excuse me, like if I write down on a piece of paper, lost dog.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lost dog in the neighborhood with a reward, and I have a bit about that, and then that leads me into my dogs and a visit to. So that's like an 8-minute word, 2 words.
Right.
4 minutes of words. But like you seem to have like a joke, and then a lot of your act seems to be so completely real in the moments, and it's like jazz between the jokes.
Right.
Where you'll ask the audience, why didn't you laugh at that? Why aren't you laughing?
Why aren't you laughing? You should be with me.
I was on Premium Blend 2004. Look at the tape. I've been there.
Yeah. That's what I say to them.
I know.
I feel like the
I've seen
audience,
your act.
how are you not laughing at it? Because somebody did.
I thought it was funny. You laughed, you didn't, and like then suddenly it becomes the audience. There's a light put on the audience, and it really is like this new comedy that I've never really seen. And there's people that did it like, Andy Kaufman, but he made people really uncomfortable where they wanted to like punch his lights out. Whereas you do it in a way where you're almost like this Pied Piper. You're like you're an odd guy.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah, I'll accept
nothing
that.
I'm saying is an insult, but like you'll say a joke, it won't work, and then you'll ask the audience, why didn't you laugh at that? But you really want to know why they didn't laugh at that, and you are willing to hear their answers and mold that into 4 minutes of comedy that you didn't have written down on a piece of paper when you went up there.
Exactly.
And then when that runs out of steam, new joke. Works or doesn't, and then you're either off or running about why or that did or then you'll go for 4 minutes why that did work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I was doing the other night in the main room. I did an hour, and
The main room is at the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard. I'm telling them, not you.
I call it the Kinnison spot, the Sam Kinnison spot. He would go up late on a Saturday night or whatever in the main room and do his thing. It was probably packed when he was doing it, but he went up in front of 2 people also a lot too. In front of like small audiences. But that was my set. It was like, yeah, I was doing exactly that the other night for an hour, and I was like letting the audience know that I'm trying to do an hour here. Stay with me. I'm professional. This is my life. If you don't laugh, I might relapse. I was yelling at them, but I took the mic down, and it was like they stayed. The audience they got it. They laughed. I mean, if you leave because parking or what have you, or they've been there 3 hours, but I kept them, and I would do my jokes. I ran out of material, it seemed like, after a half hour, even though I have more jokes. It just ran out, and so I ended up I'll do like 15 minutes of crowd work, 15 minutes of ranting, 30 minutes of jokes, and that's kind of what it was.
When you ask the audience, why didn't you laugh at that? Do you really want to know?
A little bit. I mean, they're probably afraid to shout out like why they didn't laugh. I mean, I was asking,
but I've seen people yell why they didn't think it was funny, and then you've engaged them in that discussion.
Yeah, I've done that before too.
But do you go home after that and apply what that audience member said to make that joke better? Or does that joke as a standalone and you're just going to keep doing it that way and keep asking the audience why they didn't laugh, or the next time, why did you laugh? Or is that the game going in? Or is that like the magician never explains his secrets?
Oh, I like that. Like Copperfield here. I mean, if an audience gives me a tagline, a guy shouts out something funny, I would use it as a
I guess
tag.
what I'm saying is when you go on stage, is part of your pre-planned act to ask them why, and do you count on that to fill time?
No.
It's a genuine
reaction,
visceral response. How could you not laugh at that?
Yeah.
He's laughing so hard. Miss, why aren't you laughing?
And it hurts my feelings.
San Fernando Valley.
But the thing that I have to do is I have to write for that, or you can't always. Why are you not laughing? You can probably get 3 or 4, or 5 of those in maybe, but you got to like mix it up a little bit. I have to write for these rants, but these sayings come to me. It's like "Stay with me" is my new one. Stay with me. Don't bail on me. I'm real. I planned all afternoon for this. And
that's true.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And I think the audience realizes this is this guy's like thing. This is his life. But I sat in an apartment and dreamt about being in front of 8 people.
Right.
And we were just about to leave. And to this guy, this is the most important thing going.
Exactly.
Not right now at all. This time with us is his most important thing.
I need you. You help me, I help you. I scratch your back, you shave mine. It's one of my bits. But I do have jokes. I mean, the comedians, will always tell me that I do have good jokes.
Yeah.
The ones that I do and the ones that I can remember. And I do need to write more of those. And I feel like more of those jokes that I write and have, it will help my act. It'll help my confidence. It'll probably take less pressure off me. But it's a battle up there.
What percentage of people, when they see you for the first couple times, don't get that you know of? Don't, or would you guess don't get you? Because, like I said earlier,
2/3.
That many.
I always say that. I go, I Arizona State, or even in high school, when people would meet me for the first time, they would always go, I thought your first name was Brody. So that put that in my head about I kind of want to keep that name, Brody, because whenever I would meet somebody, they always saw my name was Brody because everyone just called me Brody. It's
It's very athletic too. Like, hey, Mohr, hey, Brody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that kind of bled over into that. I mean, bled. I guess that's the right word to use, but kind of like spilt over into that in terms of my name.
Hit the cutoff man. Sorry.
Money, and maybe I should try to follow that. Try to see where that path takes me.
Did you try to emulate the comics that you had seen on television, or did you know there was only one way to do this, and that's to be Brody Stevens?
I knew I was Steve Brody at that point. That's my real name. But that's
like a porn name.
Steve Brody?
Steve Brody. Mickey Spillane, Steve Brody as Mike Hammer.
But everybody called me Brody, so I wanted to keep that. I mean, when that was the other thing, like at Arizona, or I wanted to be involved in entertainment, I felt that I couldn't really say that to them. I mean, it was like, okay, that's cute and all, but you gotta get a real job.
There seems to be a real, and from what I saw in the trailer for Enjoy It, what I picked up on, and what I picked up from your tweets, not when you went bananas, and we'll get to that, but your everyday tweets and from watching your shows, there seems to be a real power structure in your family with your mom, your sister, yourself. It's almost like this Game of Thrones other level behind the scene, like Nixon in Vietnam, like we have to do this with diplomacy. I'll take my sister out to eat.
Yeah.
Like she has to be happy now. And then she's talking to Kissinger, like it really wasn't that nice of a meal. I can't believe he hugged me. That's not what we do in this country.
Right.
And it seems confusing.
So I took the acting class, and I knew that, you know what? Let me see about this comedy. But I couldn't go to my mom or my parents and say, I want to be an actor or I want to be a comedian. I just felt like I couldn't say that to them.
Because it was a failure in their eyes? Like they wasted money on college?
Yeah, I went to college. I put 5 years into baseball, and I wasn't going to go on to play minor league. I mean, maybe coaching, maybe something involved in baseball. But for me to say that I wanted to be an actor